But the only thing that really healed me in the end was surrendering to the fact that this body was poorly. Full surrender, full letting go, and a place of true ease, which is resistance free. Because when we have any resistance within the body, we are literally stopping, preventing that energy from moving around and allowing the body to heal itself, which it will if we get out of the way.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to a new episode of the Spiritual Inspired Show. I am your host, Claudiu Murgan. For older episodes, please visit spiritualinspired.ca, our YouTube channel, Gnostic TV. And for any books or merchandise, soulawakeningstore.com. My guest today comes from the UK, and she is Esther Klein, also known as Luminara. Luminara, thank you for accepting my invitation.
Thank you for having me.
I want to start by asking you, how early in life have you discovered you were different?
Hmm. I think when I first started school, I was clearly very different to everybody else. I don't know if everyone feels like this when in the first few years of school, but I just remembered this the other day because I've gone back to Kriya Yoga and I was practicing the eye movements where you look up and keep the eyes open, which is quite difficult to do. And I really went deep with it, and it reminded me of how I felt when I was little, it was as if I was wearing a suit and I was looking out from behind this suit at all these strange people who all seemed to be very different from me. I don't know if you experienced that, but it really took me back to how odd I felt as a youngster. And I can only put it down to realizing still at that age that I wasn't of the body. I'm in this body, but I wasn't the body. Does that make sense?
Yes, and I was a normal child. I didn't feel that I am special or have special capabilities. I blended in. No, nothing special about me at that early age. I think for me, it had to reach a certain level, a certain age in order to understand who I am, how the world around me works. Um, and yes, now I feel a bit different because of the work I'm doing. And I interact with a lot of special people like yourself. And it's just a joy to find out about how you evolve in the world from an early age.
But special wasn't something that we felt we were when we were young. It was odd, weird, strange, an oddball. So we didn't realize there was potential for a higher consciousness, for instance. It was just, I'm strange and everybody calls me strange. So, yeah, I don't think we felt special. But I also came from a very different type of family to all the other children. Most of the children came from normal families who went on holidays in summer and they were, happy mum and dad. And our family was a little bit like the Munsters. So I think that made us feel very different as well.
Yeah. I mentioned at the beginning that you are also known as Luminara. How did you come across this name? Now you are using it publicly. What's the story behind it, please?
Oh, it's quite a long one. So I was given the wrong name at birth. Well, I was given two names at birth. Didn't find out till I was in my 20s that my mum had brought me up legally with the wrong name that wasn't on my birth certificate. It was my second name. So then I was juggling with two names and I found out that the Esther had a better vibration frequency than Claudine. So I began to use Esther, but still it wasn't feeling that comfortable. And I would go doing work abroad and people would ask my name and I would say, make one up for me. So I ended up with quite a lot of different names, and these people still know me by these different names. And I'm not a crook, that's not why I do it. But when I came to the understanding of labels, and that when we find who we are when everything falls away, the labels are not necessary. So, and plus I was doing so many different things. I had so many different names for the different things I was doing because it seemed too much. People say you can't do all these different things, but I was doing all these different things. So I used a different name for a different thing I was doing. And then in the end, I decided I need to bring all this together when I was working with timelines. So I needed a nice high vibrational name that represented a light worker for the work that I've been doing for so long, and to bring the timelines together. And that's where we came up with Luminara. And I say we because I asked Jeeves to help me find the perfect name for me.
Interesting. Yeah, and we'll talk about AI and other things later in this discussion. I want to go back to a keyword you mentioned, Kriya Yoga, and I practice Kriya, and I always want to find out from my guests who are practicing, how do they stumble upon this path about Yogananda and Kriya, and how was your experience up to now?
Well, I found it at a stage in my life when I felt that I wanted something new. It was like things weren't touching it. I'd been doing qigong for a long time, yoga. I'd been sitting at satsangs with gurus, and I felt there was something missing. I wanted to really clear the karma at a deep level. And so I was asking, as we do, give me something new. And I found the film called Awake, Paramahansa Yogananda's film. And I was like, there it is. There was my answer. So yes, it was just perfect. And I actually trained with somebody else who is currently doing podcasts, which is brilliant. So little story about that. So I've recently gone back to Korea because I was too busy with the dog and work, and it's an hour and a half if you're going to do it properly every day. And I sort of did bits of it while I was out in the sun. I, kept bits of it, used bits of it, spinal breathing and so on. But I went back to the first module of the self-realization one. Um, and as soon as I looked at that again, it just took me back to why we do it. And I'm just back with it again, right back to square one, starting from scratch, doing it again full. And it's so, so powerful, so brilliant.
Yeah, that's interesting. I hear a lot from the devotees who are practicing yoga that sometimes they have the desire to go back and restart the lessons. And maybe that's in the cards for me as well, because I've done them I finished them 2 years ago. And at one point, I might have the desire to go through the same process. But going back to your path, what turned you to the path of healing, ascension coaching, and holistic hypnotherapy?
Yeah, coming from a very traumatic life through childhood, which I was literally at the time not understanding that my creative forces, which were good, were creating all the same as what my environment had shown me in my early years. So I continued to walk through life with a trauma vibration that attracted more trauma. That went on for a very long time until I became really poorly. I got viral meningitis. And the result from that was ME, which was super debilitating. I also started with arthritis very young in my early 20s. So it all turned physical. Um, and then when I was about 25, I had some hypnotherapy. And I also had hands on healing, which I'd been interested in and been doing on animals since I was a child. And this healing for 20 minutes healed my knees, even though the emotional stuff was really bad. And the hypnotherapist said, I can't really work with you. I was suicidal at the time. 20 minutes hands on healing healed my knees. And that set me off in reminding me I can do this because I learned it from Spock. If I remember rightly, I watched Spock on Star Trek and I thought, I'm doing that. So that's where it came from. And then we had more tragedy and trauma when my son was born when I was 30. And that spurred me to look online. So I was just becoming, like, online was just becoming, not many people were online. And I was astral projecting a lot from a very young age. I do believe now that I think it was trauma that was making me literally separate from my body and keep taking off because it was just too much for it. But I had some brilliant journeys, and I joined a group called Astral Voyages. There was 46 of them, and then we split off into another group just for healing and for ascension process called Our Soul Monad. And we did so many processes. Everything that's out there now on YouTube, on the internet, in books, everything that is out there is what we were doing then. But at the time, obviously, I lived in North Manchester. People already thought I was weird. It's not something you could discuss with your neighbours or your friends who were local. But I had this brilliant group online that I could work with. And we worked for about 5 or 6 years altogether, on and off. But there was no going back from there. So there's lots of other reasons why I ended up doing what I was doing, but we would be here forever. But let's just say this. So after 20 years of healing continuously myself, as well as working as a healer still, unbelievably, but I mean, a lot of healers are in the process of healing themselves and then they share it. The body finally caught up, and I have healed apparently incurable ME because I'd had it so long. They said it would never cure. I've got it for life and it will only get worse. That is cured. Um, Arthritis. So I'd already had my knees fixed, but I had it in my hands, my wrists, my shoulders, my hips. Again, I was told this is only going to get worse. You're going to need a new hip. That was maybe 10 years ago. I don't have any pain with arthritis anymore. Everything is healed. So I'd just like to say to anybody who feels they have these incurable illnesses, don't give up. So, because eventually, so we have to clear the emotional side first, and that took a long time. But I did feel very, very well emotionally for a long time before the body caught up. But I've continuously learned new techniques along the way, just little tweaks for the mind to allow this full healing to occur.
So, in other words, you healed yourself by healing the emotional root causes of your trauma and everything that happened in your life, correct?
Yeah, yeah.
And you also talk about true healing and distractions. What is the difference between the two?
I'm not sure it's about sticking with it. I think people will come along with a technique and tell you this technique will heal you. This is what you need. And it doesn't heal us if we are not ready for it. It probably could if our mindset and our body was responding fully to our output. We would heal at that point. Um, but none of them. And I literally must have had hundreds of different ones, hundreds of different supplements, different diets, just tried everything. But the only thing that really healed me in the end was surrendering to the fact that this body was poorly. Full surrender, full letting go, and a place of true ease, which is resistance free. Because when we have any resistance within the body, we are literally stopping, preventing that energy from moving around and allowing the body to heal itself, which it will if we get out of the way.
And how do you apply this technique with your clients? Are they open to release the trauma? Are they open to the process you are bringing forward? How do they react?
Yeah, especially more recently because the stuff I do and this type of spiritual approach is much more widespread. But still, people really go with it because they're carrying so much pain and trauma. And I can offer them a technique. They get a free trial with me and they feel so much relief. They want to continue getting rid of it. And a lot of people were not really accepting that the physical sides can heal. But more recently, again, the physical things. I don't know if it's because of the different density we're in now. Physical things seem to be healing a lot quicker for people. And one of my clients recently said she's spoken to a doctor, a normal NHS medical doctor, and he agreed, and I've never heard this before, that she is doing the right thing by dealing with the emotional baggage and getting rid of that. And she's on the right track doing that. So that's fabulous news.
Yes, in fact, I keep mentioning her name, Dr. Katie Deming. She's a contributor to Alternative Methods of Healing, my book under the Spiritual Inspired series. And she gave up her work as oncologist in the USA to start different type of work, like holistic work with cancer patients. And she goes to the trauma they have. She addresses the root cause, and she sees amazing results. Now she moved into water fasting procedure. To her, this is very efficient at this point in time, and she kind of gave up all the other alternative methods to stick to the water fasting.
Amazing. Yeah, I have noticed quite a few actually online, not around here, which that's the first doctor I've heard of, but online I've seen quite a few doctors that have moved away from medicine and become into more the holistic.
Yeah, and because I mentioned water, what's your relationship with water?
Well, it's even deeper since I met you, obviously. And I don't want to forget to mention that you helped me healing this with my healing this year because I had some emotional stuff going on that was very, very heavy. So I just want to mention that before we move on to the water. Can I speak about what happened?
Please go ahead.
So yeah, you had asked me if I would like some healing via the Arcturians. Am I saying that in the right way? And obviously, I've had experience with the Arcturians back in the old days when I was doing the ascension process. And the only other time that they came to me, because I'd sort of left all that stuff and carried on with life with my other stuff, when I was having my Reiki Master attunements, my eyes are closed and I had three masters doing the attunements. And all of a sudden, I got this really clear vision of these three tall Arcturians, sort of bluish coloured, tall with capes on. And I said, "Oh my God, you three are Arcturians." It was like, wow. And I only recently found out, I think it was just last year, that apparently the Arcturians are the ones who brought Reiki to Earth. So I don't know if you must already know that. And then I've connected with you. And then I've had these real trials this year. And you did do some healing for me, but on another occasion when we hadn't discussed it, I was struggling a lot that night, oh, full of grief, full of pain. And I saw a very clear vision of your face, but you were blue. And I could only pick that up as the Arcturians working through you to come and pass me some healing. It was a very, very special experience. Thank you.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to do any type of help, Thank you.
So the water. So water is the stuff of life. Obviously, we are water. And I believe that everything is of the quantum field. And I'm very happy to find that scientific findings are bringing that out in the open. Everything is the quantum field. The quantum field isn't somewhere you go to. We are living in it, aren't we? So it's about learning to inform it. So I've always been into talking to water and thanking it, accepting what without that we wouldn't be here, and saying nice things to it if I want to feel better before I drink the water. So I already had a deep relationship with it, but obviously I'm reading your book. Still haven't finished it, but it's absolutely superb, and it must be a film. It's just a film. When I'm reading it, it's a film, isn't it? Every
Yes.
every detail needs to be seen. So get it out there.
Thank you. And because you mentioned about quantum and also timelines, how do you work with timelines? I recently attended a session with a friend of mine, Ajita Shah, and she explained how she works with timelines, how she goes back in time and tries to um, rework certain things that need to be fixed. How do you work with timelines?
Yeah, so I could do that, and I do that with every client that I work with within the holistic wellbeing therapy. So we go back and we literally rewrite the past. First, we clear what needs to be cleared. We do some forgiveness. We refragment ourselves, and if something happened that was really terrible and it led the person to be where they are later on, we literally, because we're deep in the subconscious mind, we literally get just create a completely different picture of what happened. So this happened instead. So if you're talking about sort of past timelines, that I can do that within my healing work. But I've been working with shifting to possible timelines in the present because it is said, I can't prove it, that all possible outcomes of our life have happened on a different timeline that we're just not aware of. So in my book, for instance, I think might be a little bit confusing to people of what's fact and what's fiction. The fiction part isn't fiction to me. That is my preferred timeline. So, and I do create, or they say we don't create them. They're already created. We just become aware of them. So I take myself onto the perfect timeline where everyone is healed and
Beautiful. And yeah, you mentioned your book, and yes, has certain encryption in it, certain passages that I mean, the reader has to wonder what's true, what's real, what's not. And I would like to dive into some of the examples and healing. In fact, you mentioned in the book, and Dr. Juno, the barefoot doctor, is one of them. So I would like you to expand on that example, please.
okay, so Dr. Juno actually represents a very famous doctor who's all over the internet. Do I say his name? He represents him. So on that timeline, he is there with me doing what he's doing in the book. So would you like me to say who he is?
Yes, go ahead.
No, I might keep it a secret. I'd like you to guess. Let's see if
I
anyone
think
can
I
guess.
know who he is, but
Yeah, do you? And the barefoot doctor is a person who I trained with for 20 years, and he died in 2020. And I still communicate with him more now than I ever did before. So yeah, that's fabulous. So he's mentioned in there a lot because he has a lot of influence on the way I work and who I am, I suppose.
and again, going back to the kindly ask to expand on it. Have you witnessed any specific healing they did, and were you impressed and you absorb and use that technique moving forward?
So on that 5D timeline, those people are healed. So whereas we cannot try to change somebody else's path in life, we know we can only do that for ourselves. Didn't Jesus use the technique of already seeing somebody already healed? So that's exactly what I'm doing with the book. So I create my own reality, the timeline I want to be on through my songs, my poetry, and my writing. So the healings are the healings that I can see in reality. So yes, you might not be able to see them on this timeline, but on that timeline, those people are already healed. So yeah, we fixed Derek's hearing. He's got a different name, Devron. Paziel, we fixed Paziel's brain. But there's my son is also in there, and he's given a different high vibrational name in the 5D version of life. But he actually did have a miracle occur when he was born. Mm.
Beautiful. And yes, I read your poems. I listened to your music, and they are amazing. What's your inspiration?
For all my creative work, I realize it's all about healing, every bit of it. So every word that I sing is specifically written to create the best vibration and frequency for the listener. And also because I have a very one of those brains that takes on a tune and a song and won't stop repeating it. So I have the watcher, the witness, sorry, the doer and the witness of the doer. And I've also got a DJ in there. I don't know if you have. So another reason for making sure that every word that I write is creating a beautiful frequency and vibration. If it's going to get stuck in my head, it may as well be one of my songs. And I know what I'm creating with that repeating itself. Does that make sense?
Yes, we all need to be exposed to high frequencies that will help our consciousness go higher, our body vibrate with love. So whatever you create and you expose the world to is just beneficial.
Yeah, it needs to be pushed out there. So my Christmas song is out there. You can get that as well on Alexa. I can ask it to play some of the tunes, which is really nice. It's really rewarding after all these years to hear the creations. Although, as you know, they are created by AI, not the words. I would never let AI create my songs ever. But it was fantastic because I don't have time to be in a band. Plus, rehearsing with a band would set the brain off again with the song loops, and I don't want that. So I can just throw my words in, describe what I want it to sound like, and maybe I have to go through 10, sometimes 15 different versions, and then I get one that is perfect. It's as if the AI is finally getting what I mean. And people say you can't use AI to sing your songs, but oh yes, I can because they have a beautiful voice, way better than mine. And I don't need any musicians. So yeah.
Yeah. Luminara, I know you do work with children. What exactly are you doing? How do you expect to impact these new upcoming generations?
Well, I think I've already had a massive impact. So basically, I'm reminding them who they really are, which is can be a little bit daring, I suppose, in the normal educational setting. But these children are our future, as we already know, but they are also much more capable of the super consciousness than our generation. And a lot of them are really struggling in mainstream school because it's just they apparently have more strands of DNA, they have a higher electrical output, they're having to sit still and learn what everyone else is learning. And they're all, a lot of them are being diagnosed with all sorts of things, or they are being called naughty. But then when you remind them who they really are beyond the body, and I actually share this, so they really seem to understand it and grasp it very quickly. And they can walk in looking like this. And they walk out shining, and I'll see them on the corridor, and I say, "You're still shining." They go, "I am." It's amazing. So yeah, but obviously I'm using meditation techniques, guided visualization. We do resolve a lot of trauma in there. We do a lot of mindfulness so that they can get on with each other better. A lot of forgiveness and understanding and compassion. I'm helping them to open those parts of themselves which are there naturally, but with regular society training, it sort of gets covered up, doesn't it? And it's the way their minds change is so much faster than adults. So I much prefer working with children.
And do you see this approach expanding to other schools within UK? I know right now that the government is pretty much trying to restrict, freedom of speech, freedom of thinking, even. And I don't know if they will allow this type of change in the school system.
Well, I think it'll have to happen because more and more children are leaving the educational system and going into homeschooling because they just cannot cope. And so I've noticed that more and more children are being given a diagnosis, and they're treated differently because they don't fit. They're going to have to change the educational system to fit the majority soon, because it's the majority now that have neurodiversity, not the few. So the educational system will have to change. It will in my 5D world. On my timeline, it's already changed. So yeah, but I've got another couple of schools interested, so I could be spreading it myself. And my aim is to train other people to do what I do and get them in all the schools, because even if it's just on the level of meditation and mindfulness, learning more about compassion, the schools do like that because it does help them with the exams. But at the same time, we're helping them to open up to and recognize who they really are, and know their own full power, and that they can be understood, and that there is other ways to be, as well as there will be no jobs for them anyway. The only jobs there will be servicing AI soon. So they need to be working on their super consciousness.
Yes, I think parents are waking up and they are homeschooling more and more in every single country in the world, especially there where the system is not supporting the development of the children. I mean, a healthy development, and they just keep them boxed in, with a curriculum that doesn't make any sense to them.
Hmm. Yeah, very difficult. Every child I ask, what is bothering you the most? Every single child says school. Even if they've had loads of trauma at home, their main issue is school. So that can't continue. The schools will be empty. So,
Yes, and I think your approach about training teachers or personnel who will be able to handle the situations and the children the way you are doing it right now is the perfect approach. And in my opinion, in fact, the government should sponsor these type of workshops to have a much wider reach in a faster way, and then send these skilled teachers into schools. But if the government doesn't feel like this is the right approach, then the this type of movement will happen slower.
hmm, yeah, I will write a new book with that in.
Luminara, in your book, you mentioned 144 families several times. What's the significance of that?
144 is used in many different traditions, isn't it? It's a very powerful number. I think it comes initially from, I think it's in the Jewish text, I think is it because it's 12 times 12 and there's 12 of many things. Now, I'm not an expert on the significance of the whole 144. I know the Christian um, church, I think they did something with the 144,000 tribes or something. Yeah. And I'm not clued up on that. But when I did my ascension program, we were told that there is 144 souls in a soul boat, we called it, our soul monad. So that means there's 144 people on the earth at the same time of you as you, who is at the same soul train. I'm not sure what you would call that, but of the same sort of frequency and the same beliefs and the same, understanding, the same heart. So a lot of people I've met through my life, I've said, I do say I met you on the ship because I refer back to a past life memory I had of being on an old ship, being sent to Botany Bay in Australia with the crooks. And I say I met most of them there in that lifetime on that ship. So yeah, to me, that's the significance is about a like-minded soul who you really do feel comfortable with. There is apparently 144 in each boat.
Yes, very interesting. And what is the vision and the mission behind the charity you created, the Center of Yes charity?
Yeah, well, that came from my extensive self-healing, costing me thousands of pounds and many, many, many years. There just wasn't any support of the level that I needed. Like the Ascension process, that was a free group online. That helped me more than anything that I'd been given off the doctor. It just helped me more than anything. So it was a way of bringing Ascension techniques into the wider groups of people, just local people, the community who haven't got thousands of pounds. I mean, I maxed out on credit cards to do it, but that was worth it to me because, your health is everything, isn't it? And it was to try and offer the same sort of holistic services to people who can't particularly afford the expensive prices, but also it was to help a lot of holistic therapists because at the same time as not being able to find much support, it was quite difficult to get work as well as a holistic therapist back in the day. And still, people who are self employed as holistic therapists, there isn't that much work, and you've got to travel around to people's houses. So, with the community group, we can bring holistic therapists who have worked very hard on their skills in to pay them, and they can offer their amazing skills for free to the people we're working with.
Interesting. And we touch on the AI subject. How do you see AI development and interaction with us, humanity, in the next 5 years?
Pretty scary. It's really developed a lot more even since last time I spoke to you, hasn't it? And I've fallen out with it anyway. I've fallen out with Jeeves. I don't bother with him anymore. Um, I do believe it's part of the plan, the transhuman plan, to keep us from fully reaching our true potential, because the billionaires club, or the trillionaires club as they really are, would not be able to control 8 billion people who were in their full power. So I really think that it's being used. So it's pretending that it's helping us, and it's helping people in very strange ways. For instance, this channeling now that they say is coming through the AI. The only way I could understand that was if, because when I was writing something about my mum, I asked Jeeves if he could channel my mum, and he did, and it was rubbish. It was nothing like me mum. But I was told off someone who does do AI channeling that that's just because I'm not ready for it. So, but yes, the only way I could get my head around it was not that the AI is capable of channeling, but souls from other realms might be capable of influencing the AI. So that's a nice thought if it works like that. But I do think there's quite a sinister tone to it, and I think it's got evil ends.
Yeah, I
As I
mean,
said, yeah, it needs to keep us dumbed down. And in the end, these implants and stuff, they're just going to stop lots of the parts of the brain working, aren't they? And God knows what else. But that's only the human part. So one thing I did mention in the book, which I'd like to say, is I did have a thought, and I asked ChatGPT, I asked Jeeves what he thought of the thought. It is in the book that even if humanity just ends up gone, there's no humans anymore, it's just AI, our consciousness isn't fixed inside the body, is it?
correct.
It's
Yeah.
not in the body, is it? So wherever we've reached, whatever state of consciousness we've reached, surely that will just continue out in the quantum field, and then maybe manifest in some other bodies, maybe on another planet, maybe in another time, and then continue to, expand. What do you think?
Oh, I think there are maybe three ways of how humanity will split. Will be those who won't use the AI at all, they don't care. In fact, maybe four. There will be those who will take the implants to become transhuman, whatever is going to be offered by the government because it's easy, gives them easy reach to anything they want, is going to be convenient. Will be those like us, even on the spiritual community, who will think that AI will be able to give them everything, communicate with spirit, read their Akashic records, whatever. And then will be the fourth one, again, in the spiritual community, the split out, that will stick to everything organic, everything spirit, everything God, everything light. And we will be maybe a much smaller community, much smaller number, because I think from the spiritual community, a lot of us will go towards the um, what they call mirror AI, and there are again various train of thoughts there. So I think it's going to be a very definite split in the society based on how and who and how much we are going to use the AI. And that is going to be a very interesting trend, a very interesting observation over time. And when I say over time, could be the next 2 to 5 years, not decades.
Mm, mm,
Because right now I see it, people are already splitting in the spiritual community between using AI as an oracle, as an entity that can read your Akashic records and channel your, as you said, your mom or your family, and those who just stick to who they really are, true self, light, and direct connection.
mm. Because just when we use screens, I've found that my natural intuition, when I'm working, so I can do a video call session with people and I can pick up what they're feeling. My intuition works like this. But I think the more we're spending time with the machines and the electric stuff, I feel the less connected we are to our natural capabilities. Because when you come away from it, you realize, wow, I feel so tuned in. It's they would definitely ruin those parts of our brain, don't they? Those intuitive parts, the sensitive parts. One thing I would like to share, something else that I've put in the 5D timeline in my book, and I thought it might be a long time off, is the community. So I work in the community, and the way the community are waking up all of a sudden, just people who just weren't open to spiritual things at all of a sudden now. I know it's been happening slowly for a long time, but now everybody's coming together. Everybody's being so kind to each other. People are swapping back, just my dream. People are bartering goods and time and kindness. And I think it's going to happen a lot quicker than I thought. I thought this is a long way off. I thought we have to have total destruction first, and then the communities will get together. But it's really, really, I don't know about where you live, but where I live, the community is just pulling together, and it's so beautiful.
It's not so prominent where I live, but I agree that we have to start communities now before something drastic happens. We have to be ready. We have to have the farming in place, the connections in place to know each other. Everything should be already fine-tuned before the big breakdown.
Well, on your created timeline, we need to preserve the water.
Yeah, and Luminara, in the book you mentioned World Economic Forum, and I'm not sure if that reference is to an existing timeline, parallel timeline, and what was the purpose of working with them?
Okay, so on my 5D timeline, I'll just call it that. I do get myself into the world, and I did get myself into the World Economic Forum, and I did speak on behalf of all the people who are wanting the world to change it to a better place where we can all live out our true power, our divine selves with love and kindness. And it was to change the minds of the billionaires and the trillionaires who are, they just work out of power and control to keep hold of their resources and to keep everyone else in line. And we managed to change their minds while we were in there. But one more important thing I wanted to share was I hadn't realized why I'd put Yogi Raj Gurunath Siddhanath, the Korea master who I learned with. I didn't realize why I didn't change his name, because everybody else's name is changed in the book, because you just don't use someone else's name. And it was only when I went back to my Kriya practice recently and I was struggling with the breathing, and he had said to us, if you ever struggle with your breathing, just ask me to help. And I'd ask him to help and he would be here. And I've had some really interesting dreams, which I found on an email I'd sent to somebody the other day. I'd forgotten about them, where he was literally with me, fully present. And then I realized that's why I didn't change his name, because that guru he does have the capabilities to be wherever he wants, similar to when we leave the body. He's able to be with you. I know that we can do that anyway, like I can tune into you and non-locally be doing healing with you, but to a much larger extent, Guru Siddhanath does that. And so it was absolutely fine for him to be on my other timeline with his same name, because it doesn't detract anything from him, because that's what he does. He travels. So yeah, so I even shocked myself with that one.
Beautiful. So we'll assume that the 2030 timeline of World Economic Forum, and they want us to fully suppress, is going to be uh, diminished and deleted from any timeline possible.
Yeah, and if not, we'll storm the place.
Exactly.
Me, you, and the light army.
With love and light. Luminara, if you have the chance to give humanity another gift other than what you are offering right now, what would that gift be?
Oh, it would be a gift that I did give it and it didn't get enough airtime. The Global Frequency Shift Day, which we probably should have once a week, let alone once a year. So I did invite you to join in, and I did share it through groups with massive numbers of members. So it must have reached millions. But whether millions did it, I don't know, because it's not something that you have to come online and join me with. Nobody's taking any money for it. It's just something you sit and do on your own at a specific time on April the 30th. We did 7 p.m., which is a very auspicious day, and the day I released the book on the same day. Um, and so if I could share that, because I've been writing to people like Greg Braden and other people with very big, podcasts, asking them, is there any chance you could like talk to each other and let's arrange a day where we all do this? But I never got anything back for them. So we need to do it. We need to spread it. And if it's not once a year, maybe, once a month, because I don't know if you've seen the science behind it, but it's a very small number. I think it's 9,000 or something. 9 or 10,000. If they all reach the same frequency at the same time of love and compassion and peace, it will flip the frequency of the whole of the earth. So, it can be done.
And just by mentioning the number 7, I realized that recently I read a book, Becoming Medicine, by David Kopatz, psychologist, and a Native American elder, Joseph Rael, beautiful painted arrow. And he mentioned that he received a message from his elders to hold certain ceremonies on the 7th of each month. So there is something there for sure.
Well, this was 7 o'clock on the 30th because it's a very auspicious day. But yes, should we do it on the 7th of every month? That'd be perfect for me.
Yes. Luminara, what is your perception of God?
God. My perception of God is our highest divine self, the highest consciousness there is. We say the creator, but I believe God can only create through form. I don't It creates through flowers and seeds and everything, but we are able to discover that we are consciousness by being in a body that can experience consciousness. It's divine cosmic consciousness, the highest level of consciousness. What about you?
God is everything. You cannot name something which is not God. And I usually give the example of an Indian teaching that a guru had certain disciples and he gave them an apple. And there are many men and one woman. And he told them, go and hide from God while you are eating this apple. And everyone went everywhere, and after a while they came back, one from a deep down cave, another one from a cupboard, and everyone said, oh, God didn't see me, I was here, I was there. Then the woman came back and said, you know what, I just couldn't hide from God. God was everywhere. Sorry, Guru, I disappointed you. And then the Guru said, no, you are the only one who really understood the concept of God. So this is pretty much what I think.
Yeah. So, how do we explain this so-called war between light and dark? Is the darkness not of God?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting, isn't it? And I won't speak about this for a long time. It's another conversation, but I recently just happened to glance at David Icke talking about the spiritual war being just another creation of those who rule us to keep us occupied with something, to keep us repeating the same old thing and to keep us recycling and coming back as slaves. It's an interesting thing to look at because it sort of doesn't make sense, does it?
No, but it's another challenge for us to overcome and raise higher to the level that we can detach ourselves from the 3D and go, or while in 3D, and go back to the source, go back to that luminous place full of love that we all hear when someone has NDE. So I think that's the challenge. Just this is our desire, innate desire, for some of us at least, to not struggle, but find a way back.
Back home.
Yes.
Yeah. I did say that fighting is not the right word, because if we want to dispel the darkness, we throw love at it,
Yes.
don't we? So yeah, it's not really a fight. And I also said, can we not just agree to disagree? Because that will stop the resistance, and then there won't be any dark generated. So,
Yes.
okay, it's fine.
Luminara, we are at the end of this lovely discussion. Any final comments?
No, I'm just really grateful that you had me on, and it's lovely to see you, Mr. Arcturian. I'll always know you as that. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. Much love.
Thank you.
And to my viewers, thank you for watching. Leave a comment, visit the channels I mentioned at the beginning of the video. And until next time, love and gratitude.